Do you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells through your own life? Like every conversation, every interaction, every relationship is a minefield, where one wrong step could shatter the carefully constructed version of yourself you've spent years building. Maybe you've mastered the art of appearing fine. You've learned to smile when you're breaking inside, to say, "I'm okay," when you're drowning, to project strength when you feel like tissue paper in a hurricane. But here's what nobody tells you about this performance. The energy it takes to maintain this facade is slowly killing the real you. Every day you spend protecting yourself from feeling is another day you're not actually living. Today, I want to show you a different path. Not the path of emotional numbness or artificial toughness, but the path to genuine, unshakable strength. The kind that doesn't come from walls or masks, but from something far more powerful, radical self-acceptance. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. This is about becoming so deeply rooted in who you are that external storms can't uproot you anymore. Here's a truth that might sting. Most of your emotional pain doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from your desperate attempt to control what happens to you. Think about the last time someone's words really wounded you. Was it really their words that hurt? Or was it the story you told yourself about what those words meant? Was it the fear they triggered about not being good enough, not being loved, not being worthy? We've been conditioned to believe that if we just try hard enough, if we're good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, successful enough, we can guarantee that people will treat us well, that life will be fair, that we won't get hurt. But this is where we trap ourselves. Because when we base our emotional stability on things outside our control, other people's opinions, reactions, approval, we become prisoners of circumstance. We hand over our power to every person we meet, every situation we encounter. The irony is devastating. The more we try to control external outcomes to protect ourselves from pain, the more powerless and vulnerable we become. We live in constant anxiety, constantly scanning for threats, constantly adjusting our behavior to avoid the inevitable. But what if I told you there's another way? What if the very pain you're trying to avoid is actually the key to the freedom you're seeking? Every wound you carry is also a teacher. Every pain point is a messenger, trying to show you exactly where you've abandoned yourself, where you've given your power away, where you need to come home to who you really are. The criticism that cuts deepest always lands where we already doubt ourselves. The rejection that devastates us most points to the places where we've rejected ourselves first. The abandonment that traumatizes us reveals our own self-abandonment. But you can't negotiate with reality. You can't control the weather of human behavior. You can only learn to dance with it. This isn't about blame. This is about power. Because once you understand that your external experiences are reflections of your internal landscape, you realize you have far more control than you ever imagined, not over what happens to you, but over how it affects you. Most people spend their entire lives rearranging the external world, trying to make it safe enough, predictable enough, kind enough to finally feel okay. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop trying to control how others treat you, you become truly untouchable. We were taught to be strong, which usually meant suppressing our feelings. It's being able to love without losing yourself. It's being able to engage with life fully without being destroyed by its inevitable difficulties. We were taught to be positive, which often meant denying our reality. It's a daily practice of turning toward yourself with compassion, of listening to what your emotions are trying to tell you, of honoring both your light and your shadow. We were taught to be independent, which frequently meant cutting ourselves off from our own needs. It's forged in the dark valleys of self-confrontation. It's built in those moments when you finally stop running from yourself and turn around to face whatever you've been avoiding. Not because nothing affects you, but because you've learned to meet everything that comes with the full presence of who you are. This is where real transformation begins, not in changing your circumstances, but in changing your relationship to your circumstances. Real strength isn't built in the gym of external achievements. This requires a kind of courage most people never develop. The courage to feel everything without numbing, to see yourself clearly without judgment, to sit with your own pain without immediately trying to fix it or escape it. Most of us were never taught how to do this. But authentic strength isn't the absence of vulnerability, it's the integration of it. It's being able to feel deeply without being controlled by those feelings. This integration doesn't happen overnight. When you begin this inner work, something remarkable happens. You stop being so reactive to the outside world because you no longer at war with your inside world. Here's what nobody tells you about acceptance. It's not passive resignation. It's not giving up or lying down. True acceptance is one of the most active, powerful forces in human experience. When you truly accept yourself, your flaws, your fears, your failures, your humanness, you create an internal foundation that can't be shaken by external circumstances. You stop looking for validation outside because you've learned to validate yourself. You stop fearing rejection because you've stopped rejecting yourself. This doesn't mean you become perfect or that you stop growing. It means you stop making your worth conditional on your performance. You stop treating yourself like a project that needs to be fixed and start experiencing yourself as a human being worthy of love and respect, exactly as you are. From this place of self-acceptance, something magical happens. Other people's opinions lose their power over you, not because you don't care about people, but because your sense of self no longer depends on their approval. You can receive feedback without being destroyed by it. You can face criticism without crumbling. You can experience rejection without losing yourself. This is what it means to be emotionally untouchable. Not that nothing affects you, but that nothing can shake your fundamental knowing of who you are. When you live from this place of integrated self-awareness, the whole game changes. You show up differently in relationships because you're no longer trying to get something from other people. You're simply sharing who you are. You handle conflict differently because you're not defending an image. You're expressing your truth. You make decisions from your values rather than your fears. You set boundaries not from anger, but from love for yourself and respect for others. You speak your truth not to hurt or prove a point, but because authenticity has become your natural state. This doesn't mean life becomes easy. You'll still face challenges, losses, disappointments, but you'll meet them from a place of groundedness rather than reactivity. You'll respond from wisdom rather than wound. And here's the most beautiful part. When you stop trying to protect yourself from life, you finally become available for the full experience of being human. You can love deeply without the constant fear of loss. You can be vulnerable without being fragile. You can engage with passion without being enslaved by attachment. This is the path to true emotional freedom. Not the freedom from feeling, but the freedom to feel everything and remain centered in who you are. The journey begins with a single step, the willingness to turn toward yourself with curiosity instead of judgment. To meet your pain with compassion instead of resistance. To embrace your humanity instead of trying to transcend it. Your wounds are not your weakness. They're your pathway home to yourself. And when you finally arrive there, you'll discover something extraordinary. You were never broken. You were just human. And that's exactly what you were meant to be. The question isn't whether you're strong enough for this journey. The question is, are you tired enough of living as a stranger to yourself to finally come home? Subscribe